Well, hey everyone from the rooftops here in Lisbon. We are live. World Youth Day rocks. I'm Dario Mobini from worldyouthday.com. Thank you for joining me. What an amazing week we've had here in Lisbon. Just checking out the many different sites, the festivals, the music, the people, hanging out with the Archbishop of Lisbon, ultimately then to welcoming the Holy Father here in to these World Youth Days, and then now with Sunday having come to an end, over 1.5 million young people were gathered at the Campo Tejo, or Parque Tejo, where the Campo de Graça, where we had the vigil and the final mass. I can't tell you how many wonderful memories this is going to have on us. I mean, we're just walking around and checking out the environments. It was definitely an amazing sight to see. And it brought a lot of joy and hope. Thinking of the fact that this is the first time a gathering of this magnitude has taken place since the pandemic. Many people from all over the world, almost every country represented, and the fact is that they came together in joy and peace, and most importantly, celebrating the thing that brings them all together, which is their common faith. One of the things that we were very surprised by, of course, more than anything, is that joy continued even in most difficult of circumstances. It's no joke when they say that World Youth Day is a place that brings suffering into your life. And that's the thing about the Christian life. Suffering is a means to an end. It's not the end in and of itself, although suffering leads us to love, and love leads us to suffering. There's St. John of Bredamola, who, by the way, one of the patrons of this World Youth Day, who said, you cannot love without suffering, and you cannot suffer without love. And it's really key to the fact that where we are today with our young people in the young church. We suffered a lot this week. The heat wave is struck on Saturday morning, leading many pilgrims to have a very difficult time making their journey to the final vigil site. And then ultimately, when they made it there was some confusion regarding when the gates were going to open for security checks, and then where security is going to check one by one each pilgrim as they go through. Ended up ultimately dropping the ball altogether and just letting it just flow in. I just can't, sometimes you just can't organize perfectly well an event of this magnitude. Is it the largest gathering for World Youth Day? No, it's definitely a good gathering. It's definitely a great size gathering. And some of the aerial shots, you'll be able to see some of these shots of all the crowds hanging out the park on our social media. Go over to Facebook and to Instagram at the tag is at World Youth Day Media, and you can find everything there. But I'll tell you, it was definitely beautiful to see the crowds again. It was definitely beautiful to see the joy in the faces of these young people who were tired, exhausted, having gone through a very difficult walk, right, from their lodging, because there was no assigned pilgrim route, although that's something I probably recommend anybody who is thinking of hosting World Youth Day. And of course, we already know where the next World Youth Day is going to be, but that's for you guys to talk about later. But if I was to assign World Youth Day in a perfect way, I would also say, here, start the pilgrim walk here, and then get to there. And here's a couple buses or metros that will take you to that point, so that way we don't have the chaos that we experienced here in Lisbon. But again, you have to realize they didn't expect so many people to leave so early. And so, this vigil started at 8:45 p.m. local time here in Lisbon, and many people were already trying to get in by 10 a.m., 11 a.m. And granted, great idea, walk early, right, before the sun hits really hard. It was about, I want to say, 97 degrees Fahrenheit, in the high 30s Celsius. not pleasant to be outside, but it was definitely not too humid either. So the dryness kind of helped, but it was hot. You know, the sun was gleaming, there was no shade. And when people were stuck in lines trying to get through because of the magnitude of people that were getting there, I knew a lot of pilgrims that just decided not to drink water because they were fearful that they were going to go to the bathroom, right? And there were no bathrooms around. So, you know, to avoid going to the bathrooms, they avoided drinking water, which was a big hazard to everything that was going on. Again, please make sure you guys drink lots of water on trips like this. But I would also say lots of water on your trip home. One of the things that will help you adjust as you move back to your home is the amount of water you drink. And it's something that's very important, especially for your human ecology, right? Drink water to take care of your body. It helps you on the long run, especially when you move back to your original time that you're in. Remember, your body clock has to adjust, right? The Sunday homily definitely struck. The idea that here we are talking about the transfiguration, where we're at the mountaintop, right? And World Youth Day is that mountaintop experience. But how do we take that experience from the mountaintop and bring it back to the rest of the world? Because that's what Peter, James, and John were tasked to do, right? Jesus told Peter, no, Peter, we must come down, right? Because it was Peter who said, let's build 3 tents, one for you, one for Moses, and one for Elijah. But yet they were told to go back down, right? And to bring that joy, that enthusiasm of what they witnessed and share with the ends of the earth. And they did, right? They did. We are living in apostolic times, my friends, and we must be able to go out and be authentic witnesses of the gospel. And this is what, you know, again, like Peter, James, John, and the other apostles did. And you and I are called to do the same as we prepare to make our journeys back home. Some of you guys are already on the journey back home. How do we take this experience and bring it to the next level? I want to encourage you again, if you haven't already done so, to download the Hallow app, right? Hallow has a great program. We've partnered with them in our work to promote World Youth Day. And one of the things they did, besides sponsoring these amazing water bottles that I hope you guys take home and reuse. I know the lid is not ideal, but nonetheless, like when you take this home and reuse it, it's great. But Hallow, right? We worked with Hallow to make these guided spiritual meditations. How do we take this mountaintop experience and bring it back to our home and transform the world as we know it? Well, one of the ways you can do that is by downloading the app and then follow along with this. You can search for it. It's called the Rise Up Novena. Take the challenge with me. It's 9 days, right? Let's go deeper into these wonderful discussions that we've had here at World Youth Day in Lisbon, right? The whole theme of make haste, rise up, right? We focused on integral ecology, right? The human ecology, nature ecology, divine ecology. We focused on social friendship, the important element of having a friendship with Christ and then bringing that friendship to others and introducing others to that friendship that brings the joy in you. Remember, it was St. Paul who describes in the letter to Timothy, right? Be always prepared to give an account for the joy that is in you. The joy that is in you. This experience of World Youth Day provided just that, this joy. And our Holy Father, Pope Francis, was very enthusiastic to see the many faces of young people around the route as he passed by them, saying hi to them, waving at them. But most importantly, these young people, you know, they came, yes, to see the Holy Father, but in reality, they came to find the person of Jesus Christ, and they found him. They found him, not only in each other, but in the Eucharist of the Church. They found him in the successor of St. Peter, and they will continually search for finding him in every corner of this earth until the world is transformed with the person of Christ Jesus. You know, I hope you download the Hallow app and attempt to do the Rise Up Challenge with us. Ideally, the perfect time to start this would be Monday or Tuesday. Being today Sunday as we concluded World Youth Day, where do you go from here? You can do, this is one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is continue that relationship with your friends that you came here with, right? Think about all the people you traveled with. Continue that friendship with them. Continue that friendship with them. Continue having meetings. Go out for coffee or go out for tea or go to a pub, right? Especially if you're at the age where you can. Those are great ways of doing it. At the end of the Mass, our Holy Father Pope Francis challenged for 2 things that are coming up. And these 2 things are one, the Jubilee of Youth that will happen in 2025. We already have the dates for that. We know that it's going to happen at the end of July, early August, and it's going to happen in Rome. It's for the ordinary Jubilee year. Remember, ordinary means every 25 years, right? Extraordinary, like what we had in 2016 with the extraordinary year of mercy. That is when a Holy Father can, the successor of St. Peter, can call an extraordinary year to focus on a specific task, so that they can grow, right, and substantially in the life of the church. But in 2025, we'll have an ordinary Jubilee year, and it will be held in Rome, because it's not a World Youth Day, but it's just a Jubilee year where we can come together and focus on the themes that our Holy Father Pope Francis has echoed in Christus Vivit. You know, again, I challenge you guys that if you're going home and you're thinking like, how can I go deeper? Read Christus Vivit. There is thick volumes of words that our Holy Father digs deep into the very heart of the search for a young person. Having listened to young people in the Synod on the Youth, it was an opportunity for him to hear out what young people are crying for. And what are they crying for? They're crying for authentic, genuine relationships, not only with each other, but with the church, right? With the priests, with her bishops, but most importantly, with the risen Lord. Right? So that's one thing that our Holy Father challenged. The second thing was the World Youth Day. It will be held not in 2026, 3 years from now, which is the traditional countdown, but in 4. And again, you have to realize that the reason behind that is because we were originally going to have World Youth Day in 2022. But because of the pandemic, we had to postpone that to 2023, allowing 2 years to go by for the Jubilee year for the youth that will happen only in Rome. There'll be Jubilee experiences throughout your personal diocese, but the extraordinary Jubilee, or in this case, the ordinary Jubilee, will happen in Rome, right? And so you can travel to Rome. There will be tons of activities, tons of events. We hope to be there in full swing to have our programming there. I mean, I really hope that we can bring the same things that we brought here to Lisbon, the story of Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati and the story of Blessed Carlo Acutis. And again, I thank you if you attended the events at the Blessed Carlo Acutis Center with our partner CCO, Catholic Christian Outreach. We were very excited at the fact that we had so many people show up to that event, so it was very beautiful. But in 2027, the next World Youth Day will be held in Seoul, Korea. Our Holy Father officially announced it today, although I think almost everybody knew. I mean, I don't doubt that everybody knew. I mean, it was pretty obvious that we already kind of got a hint. But again, it's not official until the Holy Father Pope Francis has addressed it. And so he did, right? The World Youth Day will go once again back to Asia. It was there in 1995 in the Philippines that drew the largest crowd in human history. Over 4 million people gathered to see and hear Pope St. John Paul II. Right? We don't know if Pope Francis will be with us. And regardless if Pope Francis is with us or not, the successor of Peter will be there. The church will be gathered again. And, you know, I remember hearing some of the comments that the Archbishop of Seoul made at the press conference today, you know, that, yes, Catholicism is not the majority. You know, there's a very minor group of people make up the population in Korea. But yet, what an opportunity for evangelization. What an opportunity to transform the world by gathering together in a place that needs authentic witnesses, right? And I can't wait for that. In 2027, we'll all be in Seoul, Korea. I actually will be going to Seoul, Korea in this September and continuing my conversations with not only the Bishop of Seoul, but also for the people I met from Korea. Koreans are such hospitable people, such amazing, energetic people, and I can't wait for them to host this amazing event at World Youth Day. I also want to give you guys a heads up that there's going to be a lot of content coming up on our website, worldyouthday.com. All this website will help you relive the experiences. It will help you see the beautiful words written by our Holy Father that were delivered at the event. If you want to know more about what's happening in Lisbon, there's stuff on the homepage, and then most importantly, there's a little link to the very top of the tab where you'll find Lisbon 2023 located there to give you more details. But I'll tell you, it's a wonderful thing to be able to close off this chapter here in the story of young people's lives that John Paul II started back in 1984. And I say the close of a chapter because we're about to begin another chapter, our preparation for Rome's Jubilee of young people in 2025. But most importantly, the next worldwide encounter of young people, World Youth Day per se, that will happen in 2027. That will bring another chapter. Another generation will come, right? A generation that probably has not had the same experiences as you and I. Maybe that will be their first World Youth Day. Maybe that will be their second World Youth Day. But either way, every World Youth Day is different. But every time we gather together, we're gathering together because we're seeking Jesus Christ and Him crucified. That's the reason why we're coming together. That's the reason we travel so far to come to places like this, to find Him in each other, within the church hierarchy, and ultimately within the successor of St. Peter. And I echo that again. Regardless if it's Pope Francis or not, the successor of Peter will be at World Youth Day. As you notice, in the month of August, the prayer intentions for our Holy Father Pope Francis has been to pray for the young people who have gathered here, who encountered the risen Lord. I made a challenge to some of my friends who are journalists, saying, hey guys, let's all pray the rosary the weekend before World Youth Day, that Christ may be known in the hearts of young people. Now, and I want to echo again the words of our Holy Father at the vigil, right? Do not be afraid and rejoice in Him, because He desires to be in a relationship with all of you. He loves you, He cares for you, and He wants nothing more than to be with you and make you happy. The person of Christ Jesus does just that. Let's go out and share this love, this joy, this enthusiasm that we brought here with us from our own local cities, and let's go out and transform the world, because that's what World Youth Day does. That's what World Youth Day is all about. And for those who did not come to World Youth Day, curious to what had happened here, people encountered Jesus Christ. The Eucharist was celebrated worthily and reverently. Yes, it was hot. Yes, there was music. Yes, young people joyfully celebrated being themselves in an environment that is probably not ideal. But it does not mean that catechesis was not taught. It does not mean that Jesus was not encountered. It does not mean that people's lives were not reorientated back to His love. A lot of things happened here. A lot of things that will take a while to process. And I hope that you join me in praying the Rise Up Novena Challenge in processing what actually had happened here, right? Because we are called to rise up. We are called to make haste, to go and transform the world. Remember, you're all on a mission, and that mission is to be missionary disciples, reflecting the love of God to everyone you encounter. You don't have to be good with words. You don't have to be a theologian. You just have to be able to. You have to just be able to reflect Jesus Christ and Him crucified. Are you ready for this? Are you ready to go and transform the world with me? I hope you can join me in this challenge. From all of us at worldyouthday.com, I'm Dario Mobini from Lisbon. God bless you guys, and I will check in with you guys in a couple weeks. Thanks for joining us, and God bless.